promoting businesses and organizations to help them reach their full potential. Lighten the path to the success of your business. Enhancing the lives of our listeners by talking about things that matters most. Helping you to shine your light emotionally, mentally, spiritually, socially, and physically. Spreading positive vibes. You've got it locked and you're listening to Light Vibrations, brought to you by Lyte Communications right here on CBN Radio 90.9 FM. And now your host and our director, Natasha Letza.
Hello, you've got it locked and you're listening to your girl Tasha T here, bringing to you another episode of Light Vibrations here in the studio. Today we have Miss Heda Selwood. Miss Selwood, welcome to the program.
Good morning and thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Always
to
a
be
pleasure.
Here.
Definitely always a pleasure. I had the privilege to interview Miss Selwood on another program a couple of weeks ago, and we were speaking about the difference between discipline and punishment, and the conversation was so dynamic. I had to invite her here to talk about that and to talk about all the associated issues with not basically being on the same page with the way you raise your children. So we're gonna start there where we end up.
Yes.
We end up. So tell us, what is the difference between punishment and discipline?
And Natasha, that's very important to know, that we must distinguish the difference before we even get into the conversation. Mm-hmm. When we talk about positive discipline, we are saying finding a way to discipline your child that is respectful. Mm-hmm. As simply as that. Punishment, on the other hand, that's when we dish out the licks, the slap, the abusive things that we say to our children, and that's a whole another topic about what we say. So in making it very simple, positive discipline, finding ways to be firm yet respectful. When you discipline, and punishment, those things that we do, those punitive things, the licks, the slap, the shouting. So that's the difference in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. So let me establish where you at on this shift. What were you into? You into discipline or you into punishment?
Now let me say here, and for our listeners, we are not saying positive discipline is not saying you should not punish your child. Listen, children need to be disciplined. Let's use the correct word. They need to be disciplined. Mm-hmm. And we cannot allow children to have their own way and run wild. But what we are saying, it's not always about punishing them with licks. That's basically what we are saying. And it's a Caribbean thing, where we grew up and everything was licks. Sometimes you reach for the quickest thing that is to your hand. I don't know if that ever happened to you, and you get it coming at you, or you hear horror stories about people getting licks with pot spoons, with pot cover, with broom, with exactly. Yeah. So we are saying that corporal punishment that we grew up knowing that, and that's what our parents knew. They didn't know better. Mm. But as the world and knowledge increase, you realize these things do not work well. So we are finding other ways to discipline our children, but we are finding ways that are creative, and that will not bring harm to them.
Oh gosh, Heda, this is a hot one, because I'm in the middle of that spectrum, because I had a father who was very corporal. Yes.
Like most of us.
Whatever. Yes. Ropes. I've heard stories of my siblings, being beaten with ropes. Yes. Somebody get machete tongue, get planas and all shit, Yes. And he was the kind of man where if he tell you to jump, don't ask him nothing, just jump till he says stop, and you better not stop till he says stop. So that was my father.
And we this dates back to Bible times too. In the Bible it tells us, we should not spoil the child. It's right rather than spoil the child. So it's right there. So we have to discipline our children. But honestly, the form of discipline that was meted out to many of us growing up, that's abuse.
That's
I have to
definitely
say
abuse.
it's abuse.
Yes.
So we have to move beyond that. And even in this time of COVID, a lot of parents are stressed. A lot of parents are they are at their wits' end. You had to contend with your children at home for the last months.
Yes.
Something that you would have shipped them off to school. I've heard parents saying things like, "Come for your child." Someone sent me this WhatsApp, and the parent there telling the teacher, "Come get your child." I found it was comical, and so I understand that it's easy for parents to lash out at their children. But what we are saying, find things to do so you don't get to that point.
Yes, definitely. And before I even touch that, I wanted to go back a bit and just talk about the two balances that I was speaking about earlier, the father and my mother. Now on the other hand, she was more of that talker, more of that discipliner.
Right.
So we had two extremes. So in the middle of that two extremes, I used to say, you know what, I'm going to try to be in the middle where I'm going to give because my mother, she used to overdo it with her talking, so much so that nobody was really studying
Paying attention to her.
It had
Just
no
had
kind of
it, yeah.
repercussions to what she was saying. So I used to say, listen, I'm gonna talk to my children 3 times, and then on the 4th time, then whatever they get, they're gonna have to take. But as I got older and started parenting, I found that I was leaning more towards my mother's style, and I wasn't really seeing any results. I say, see, there's benefit in the way my father did things because because at the end of the day, you really do have to find a balance. And
yes.
this is what I want to talk about is where at which point, because at some point they might need a slap. At some point they need to get shot at, because what we can breed as a next generation of criminals,
exactly,
if we don't have any kind of structure in place for them. So let's take a look at them in the different age range, from the terrible twos,
right,
and what come up, and see how we could better discipline or balance that parental approach.
And you raise a very important point, and I have to address it before we move on. That balance in a household where you have both parents. It's easy with one parent, it's easier. Face it, it's easier, because you're getting advice from one parent. But in that household, and you drew a very good example of what is happening on a daily basis. Sometimes it's the other way around. It's the father who is the passive one and the mother is the aggressor. But your example, your dad was the one who would do the corporal punishment. Your mother spoke. And what did you say? Oh, nobody taking her on, because there was no repercussion for all this set of talking. And so as parents, we have to find a balance. As adults, without the children being there, or child being there, you must talk together and see, how are we going to deal with situations when it comes to the children? I don't want you as daddy to say, go to your mother. Is what your mother say. No, it's not what your mother says, it's what we say. Or when the child, go to your father. No, it's not that. And in homes, we tend to do that a lot. We tend to shift the blame. Go to your father. Well, the child is going to grow up thinking the father is the worst person, or the child is going to grow up thinking mommy, she too hard, she's the worst person. But if both of us hold the same head
and unify,
and listen to me, sometimes you might be the one who is strict and stern. Sometimes you might have to just lie low and break sometime. And go with what the other person is saying. It's not always you're going to be right, but you must reach that middle ground. And that is what is so good about this, because you have some of us who are extreme on the either end of the spectrum, so we need to bring it in the middle. You can't be too soft on your children, because what you're going to do, they're going to run wild. We're going to have a society of chaos.
Definitely.
And then you cannot be too hard on them, because what is going to happen on that extreme, the children grow up, they too might become abusers. So mentally and emotionally, some of them cannot cope. And then children start telling you, or you hear things like children being suicidal and all these things. So we have to draw that balance. And from my personal point of view, listen, we need a balance. Like you rightly said, there are times when we have to put on that punishment, not the discipline. No, we have to put on that punishment because we're in a certain generation now. They do not, it seems as though they do not listen or they're not hearing. So we try to talk, and we try to talk, we try other things, but listen, they ain't taking you on.
But they ain't taking you on because parents busy trying to be friends.
Yes, that's a very important point you raise.
Everybody want to be this child's friend. That child ain't no friend.
You're not your child's friend.
You don't have any your own friend. We have to get away from that. And then another thing that went wrong here is the fact that nobody can discipline your child. Nobody can tell your child nothing. And then we have a set of parents who, if you as another adult see my child doing something and say, young man or young girl, whatever, what you're doing is wrong. And then I gonna come up, my child gonna come to me, mommy, she tell me why doing is wrong. And then instead of me saying, okay, well, what did she say? Fine, no. Well, okay, yeah, that is wrong. She ain't telling you nothing bad. Why you here talking to my child? Don't tell my child nothing. It blows my mind every time to see where we've come as a community with these children, and that's part of the problem.
And that's a major problem, because when you grow up and we talk about a whole village raising a child, that's no longer in existence. No village don't raise a child. You talk to someone's child, you see them doing something, you just talk. You didn't hit them, and parents calling you on the phone, cussing you out, tell you don't have nothing to do with my child. Come on. How are we going to, our community, how our society will do better if this is the attitude parents are adopting, that you cannot speak to the children? I'll share this with you. I acted in my capacity as an educator before, as an assistant principal at a school, at one of our schools. I wouldn't say which one, at one of our schools. And I remember a parent and the child came in for, the child got involved, and that's parent-teacher session. And the young lady, she was there going on with her mother in our presence. Myself, the principal, guidance counselor, everybody. And I say, may I say, listen, you're not going to disrespect your mother in my presence. You do it when you're in your mother home, not in here. And and everybody was like, because I couldn't just sit there and hear her speak to her mother. You don't speak to your parents like that. And then the mother said nothing. Now, when we were growing up, if you open your mouth to talk to your parent like that, tell me what will happen.
Open which mouth?
Okay. All right.
So better take that to the law.
Thank you. So these are all the different problems that you mentioned. We no longer can assist in disciplining children. When you say something to the child look at you. Who are you? Why are you saying something? And then you have the parents who join, you go home and you tell a parent, and as an adult, instead of the parent coming to ask you, say, Mr. Letson, my son said that XYZ, or my daughter said XYZ. You didn't ask, you sat cussing and, don't have nothing to do with my child. So we have a whole breakdown in society, and so that is where discipline becomes a problem all around.
So it's interesting that you brought up this school example, because I know that parents have been giving horrors to teachers with regards to the rude children, and half of the thing is they know these children rude, but I bet you being online and home with them and having to deal with them, I bet you're gonna see a change with that type
like
of
I told you, they're telling you, they're meeting us, they're saying, when school open, I want you all the children from me. Imagine they're your own. And now with all seriousness though, parents have gained a newfound respect for the teaching profession.
Definitely.
And they're saying to you, well, I never realized that this is what you guys have to go through. We have had parents who called, who have complained and talk about their child or their children not paying attention, they don't know what to do to get the child involved, get the child to do what he or she has to do. So they really appreciate the job. For a lot of parents, they're now appreciating what teachers do on a daily basis, and just thanking teachers for the great job that they do, because it's difficult, because for a lot of us as parents, our children are at school for most of the day.
Yes.
We spend a little time with them in the morning, then in the evening, depending on the age group, sometimes they go to bed so early we don't even spend time with them. So the teachers spend most of the time with our children, raising them. So now that we had to step in and assist with that, we are seeing what it's like.
Definitely, and I just want to take this opportunity to say blessings to all the teachers and thank you, for the wonderful job that you continue to do. And definitely this COVID online, because I don't like the online, but we're gonna get into that. But I don't really care for the online platform, but it definitely shows the type of commitment and stuff that you definitely need to have to be able to help to facilitate your child, their educational goals and what's up. So we want to big up the teachers, definitely.
Yes.
I definitely know I don't have no patience. I can't teach nobody, not even my children. So I definitely highly depend on you guys to help me with that, because I definitely don't have the patience.
Yes, and we really have to say to our teachers, we appreciate you and the job that you do.
Definitely. So now I wanted to go back a little bit when you were talking about being in unison. The parents in the house.
Yes.
If you have two parents, I wanted to delve a little bit more into that, and especially for broken homes, right? For broken homes where there's always some kind of issue, there's always some kind of animosity, because it just seems, and I don't know why, that if you and I were in a relationship and we have children, why can't we co-parent? Why can't we do that for the betterment of our children? It seems like we ain't getting that, we ain't on that page at all, and that's split in the way that when John go over by Johnny, how he's dealing to when Sue come over by Susan in Susan's house, and it's messing with the children. What we could do in that?
Okay, so as I was saying, you answered the question in terms of adults. We are selfish. We are not thinking that this child, it was given to us and we have to do all in our power to raise this child as a model citizen. When we get entangled in our relationship and we have disagreement, all of that go through the door. So who get caught up in the middle? The child. And you're so selfish in your thinking, and you acting out of emotions, acting out of spite, because face it, we do a lot of spite. And so you're not thinking that I have this child to raise, and so let me walk with the mother or let me walk with the father. You try to pull the child in the middle to take sides. So you're not concerned about the child being disciplined or the child needs really being met. And we are not talking food, physical needs here now, emotional needs. You are more busy thinking about you and how you could hurt the other person, and then the child get caught up in the middle. But my advice, and from where I sit with all this positive discipline, as adults, we have to think beyond that. We have to think about the child. Parents listening, this is for you. Think about the child. Where there's situations where you're not getting along with the other party, think of the child. I over the weekend, I saw an experience where, and Natasha, it can happen, where a parent, they're not together, but the child had graduation. And both parents was there, and that it warmed my heart to see both parents there.
Yes.
And daddy being very supportive. His other half was there also.
Yes, why
but
all
she
of
knew
us
her
can't get in the
place.
picture. No,
She
she
knew
could have
her
been a
place.
part too.
Yes, she was there.
Yeah,
she
she
came
could
to
take
the
up family
ceremony,
picture
right.
too. Everybody could get in
And
this
that's what I'm
photo.
saying to
Yes.
you. But we have both parties. I know they have their separate lives, but this is their child, and it shows to me the love they had for the daughter. And so I can do that. But there's some of us who, because of selfishness, it's not always easy for that to happen.
Yes.
But we have to come to that place. Parents listening, daddies, mommies, we have to come to that place. If you get a call that, listen, Mary wants to go to the party and I don't think it's a good idea, let's agree. Don't let, when she comes by you say, you could go.
Don't study your mother. Don't study your
Yes, we
father.
don't
Yeah.
want that.
Yeah.
Let's agree. If this is how we are going to discipline, when she leaves my house and come to you, because we have visitation rights, when she's with you, let us do the same thing. So it also brings a structure to the child's life. And then we don't have the poor child confused. Because what we fail to understand, we have our children confused. We are the ones who have them messed up, and I know a lot of you are going to lick me for this, but it's fine. As adults, we are the ones who have our children where they are, because instead of coming together, listen, we can agree to disagree. I don't have to love you to come together to discipline our child. A child we want to see grow up to be a model young lady, a model young man. I do not have the statistics, but I can guarantee you it's something we should study, Natasha, that we would look at those children who give the most trouble at school, or who look at the homes they're from. Broken homes where parents pit each parent against the other. Yes. You with mommy, and mommy tell you all these things about daddy. You with daddy, he tell you all these things about your mother. So we need to stop.
And we empowering the children to be
rude.
So
Thank
now
you.
I have my 16-year-old son disrespecting me in my house because of whatever the father implant or vice versa. That's not right.
And another thing, as you talk, and this all have to do with positive discipline. Be careful what you say when the child is with you about the other parent. Yes. Be careful. Yes, daddy might be a bum. He don't pay the child support, but you don't say that in front of the child. And the same thing.
Say one, say two. Don't have some parents out here, because they don't want the child to feel that the father or mother abandon them. They don't make up all kind of stuff. Oh, your father send this, or your father do this, or your father do. Don't do that either, you know.
Exactly.
Don't do that either.
Yes.
Don't be out here lying to the children about it. And they know that man or that woman ain't have no part of that. I ain't going along with that either.
And I agree with you. Again, experience is the greatest teacher. Had that experience, and the child grew up, and this parent is saying to me, what should I do, because the child so love daddy and believe daddy, everything that is in her is daddy provide. Daddy don't provide a thing, but she doesn't want to tell the child because she doesn't want the child to develop any kind of negative feeling. No, what you said is two different things. It's one to curse a parent or say negative things about a parent in the child, but it's another thing to be honest with your child. We are talking two different things.
Don't make up nothing.
Right. So if the child asks a question, you tell the child, be honest with the child.
I agree with that.
No, your daddy didn't provide this, daddy didn't give you this. I have not seen your father for what, That's different than you going off on a tangent, cussing him out about how he watched this and he wanted so much woman. Those are different things. But be honest with your child.
Definitely be honest with them. It had one time back, it had an incident, I think, that had happened in Eastern somewhere, where it had this mother, two brothers were fighting or something, and the big one was beating up the little one, and then the mother came to part the fight, and then the big boy started to fight the mother till she had to call police and stuff like that. When I read things like that, it really raises my blood pressure to even think that my child, because right now I have my oldest sons, one is making 16 and one making 13, so they teenagers. They have teenagers in my house, and the big one, he's taller than me, and the little one, he's just about my height now. You understand? So I have like giants in my house, and I've always said down to my little daughter, she look like she's gonna be so tall. I say, I'm going to be surrounded by giants. In a little while they're gonna be taller than me, and I'm 6 foot, right? So I always said, listen, I have to ensure, however I start, these children, to make sure none of them don't ever pass the place with me. So when I saw that story, I called my boys.
Yep.
I had them read the story to me. I had them to read some of
Very
the
good.
comments
And
under the
have that conversation.
And I asked them,
Have the
what do you
conversation.
think I would do to you if you would ever do that to me?
Have that conversation.
My big son said, "You kill me, mommy."
Okay.
I said, I wouldn't waste my years in jail.
Yeah.
But I know you can't live here.
Yep.
I don't care how old you is.
Yeah.
Government will have to go with you. Don't
Have that
ever
conversation.
disrespect me.
Exactly.
You crazy?
Yes. And that's another thing. Again, with all of this positive discipline, again, we are not saying do not discipline the child, but you realize what's happening with a lot of us it's a lot of shout down. We don't have those conversations. We don't sit with our children, and I applaud you for doing what you did. You call them and you had that talk.
Definitely.
We don't talk to children. What we do, we shout at our children. Everything is a shouting match. When was the last time, good COVID, bad COVID, it forced a lot of us to be at home, to spend that time, especially during those lockdown. I know a lot of people didn't like that lockdown, but it forced you to have to do things you didn't do. Play a game with the child.
Yes.
Talk with the child.
Definitely.
And a lot we heard a lot of testimonies of people who got involved in doing things like this. This is what positive discipline is all about. And if we will
giving them
stop,
that time to talk,
giving them that time to talk, getting to know your children. We were on a path. We just brought them, and everybody on their own, we running, going crazy.
Yeah, because we too busy.
Everybody too busy.
Yeah.
So this probably came to us to say, you know what, we need to slow down.
Definitely.
We need to slow down and pay attention to those precious gifts that God blessed us with. And so, as I round up this segment of the positive discipline, I know we said a whole lot. We went all over the place, but we had to deal with the issues as the discussion came up. It is simply this: you're going to find as a parent, our children are going to challenge us. Don't be fooled. They're going to challenge us. You cannot turn a blind eye, parents. Do not let it slide. Do not let it slip. What we are saying, you deal with it head on, and find creative ways of dealing with it. You might ask me, so then what are creative ways? So you have your terrible tools. You mentioned that earlier. And he or she throws a tantrum, and you know that's what they do best. And they like to use the word no. And you talk to them and they're telling you no. Now you're not going to just pull out a belt and start to beat. You're going to, have that conversation with that child and listen to, they understand. They're not too young to know. So you talk to you take away things that they might like, that they love.
Definitely.
Offer rewards. And this goes to all the age group. Whether you're 10, you're teenagers, offer rewards, give them reward. You were really good today. I left you at home to do your schoolwork. Teacher messaged me and tell me you were so attentive. Listen, you tell me what movie you want us to watch, where you want us to go. Yeah. Offer them reward. This is what we're talking about. So it's not always shouting and, oh, the teacher said you ain't study, and you don't get all worked up. Because what you're doing, you're making yourself stressed and sick. And you're making the child more resentful.
Definitely. Well, Heda, thank you so much for coming on the program today. It was a wonderful conversation. I hope that the listening audience garnered what they needed to from that conversation to help to improve their households. And, I want to thank you again for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure, always a pleasure, and I'll be back because, again, we haven't finished the discussion.
Definitely. You've had it like that. You've been listening to Lyte Vibrations here, chilling with me, Tasha T, aka Roxy, and our guest today, Heda. So you like this little interview, share it with a friend. You can find us on Facebook, Lyte Communications on Facebook. We post everything there. Check us out on YouTube, subscribe, and you'll always be in the know. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and blessings.
You've been listening to Lyte Vibrations, brought to you by Lyte Communications. Lyte Communications, your one-stop shop for all of your communications and marketing needs. From conception to completion, we offer the entire communications package. Choose Lyte for reach, results, and reliability. We have over 15 years experience and we offer an array of services guaranteed to enhance your reach and increase your market presence. To showcase your business or organization on our program, contact Natasha Letsom at natasha@lytecommunications.com or via WhatsApp or telephone at 284-545-7355 to secure your package today. Community-minded individuals with knowledge in finance, health, business, relationships, spirituality, fitness, agriculture, healthy living, parenting, or any other topic that can enhance the lives of our community are also encouraged to contact Ms. Letsom to organize an interview. Thank you for tuning in to Lyte Vibration, and don't forget to tune in this time next week as we continue to bring you life-changing information. Until next time, shine your light.